I come from a very international background. My mother is Japanese and my father is English, but I grew up in Munich in Germany, so I feel very international and not belonging to one place. I first came across Shakespeare at school, and only by playing Shakespeare did I start loving Shakespeare. The stories are based all over the world, and the majority of them in England, but he writes about Troy, about Egypt, about Greece, Denmark. So having worked in theatre in different countries and seeing how audiences react to Shakespeare, everyone gets it, and I think it's very universal. So my outlook is that it's for everybody, it's for any culture and any person. Much Ado About Nothing is probably one of the most popular Shakespeare plays. And the reason is probably because of the love stories and the relationships. I love the central plot of Beatrice and Benedict and their love, their hate and their love, and their wit, their war of wit is so fun to watch. And the nastier they can be to each other, the better. You want them to be horrible to each other, because it's so great. And then when they do get together at the end, it pays off. So it's about love, it's about marriage, relationships, communities, expectations from elders, and also deception, people playing tricks on each other, trying to be horrible to each other, but also trying to help each other by playing tricks. And so you've got Hero and Claudio trying to trick Benedict and Beatrice so that they fall in love. So that's a beautiful trick to do. There's so much there, so it's a great story. In Much Ado About Nothing, I played the character of Hero, and she's one of the central characters, but she's a much more traditional woman from Shakespeare's day, or how people in that time would have expected women to be. So she's quiet, she's obedient, she's kind, she wants to fall in love, she falls in love at first sight with Claudio, and they get married very quickly, but also she's very vulnerable and she becomes a victim. So she's basically become part of the trick, and she's very vulnerable in that way. So she's a very fun and complex character, but probably a simpler character to play than Beatrice, who's much more modern, a modern day woman, I suppose. She's complicated, she's witty, she's nasty, she doesn't want to do what she's told. She doesn't want to listen to what men say just because they're men and she's a woman. So that dynamic, the difference of the two women is a great part of the story. So that was very fun to play. Also, the comedy's fun. So it's great when the audience laugh at you, when Hero and the maid are trying to trick Beatrice by pretending that Benedict is in love with her. And they know she's listening, but they're pretending that she's not. Like, that scene's really fun. You can tell the audience are gripped. So it's a really fun play to do. Japanese audiences probably approach Much Ado About Nothing thinking that it's a foreign play set in Italy, these foreign lovers, what are they doing? It's so different to us. But fundamentally, the relationships between the man and woman of both couples, so Beatrice, Benedict, Claudio, Hero, the two couples, they could happen anywhere. So I think that's how Japanese people fall in love with the story as well. The way it's written in English, there's a pentameter, there's a rhythm, and a lot of imagery in it. The imagery completely translates into Japanese, but the rhythm doesn't quite translate because of the nature of the language. So for me, when Japanese people do Shakespeare, it becomes much more visual and a joy to watch, a spectacle. Whereas in England, it's much more about the words, deliver the words, and the beauty in the language. Whereas in Japan, it's more like a painting when you watch a Shakespeare play. And I think the more successful versions are when a Japanese audience, Japanese company do it their way and not try and do it in a Western way. So I recently saw a kabuki version of Twelfth Night, and it was amazing. It was incredibly original, beautiful. Nobody else could do it, and the story completely made sense as well. And it was all men dressed up, painted, playing female, and met all the roles, and beautiful to watch. I think Japanese women are traditionally more like a hero character. So even today, I think women are, men and women are equal in Japan, but there's much more of a sense that you should be married and have children by a certain age, and you should leave work and be the housewife and do what you're told. Like that kind of sense, traditionally that sense is there, and it's probably stronger than what women are expected to be over here in England, in the West. So I think maybe women in Japan are more inclined to be like hero than Beatrice. And I think Beatrice is probably a much more Western woman from a Japanese perspective. But things are changing. Japan has modernized ridiculously. It's expensive to live in Japan, so women have to work, which means they're stronger, they're independent, and they become more like Beatrice. So I think Japanese women can relate to both.